Well, that's the 2021 message of the president. Economy, security, and anti-corruption. Let's get talking now. Let's speak with Mr. Bode Olugbore, the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Political Matters. Welcome to Sunday Politics.
Good evening.
So there are new calls for a cabinet reshuffle. I'm sure you're familiar with that now. And for some persons, the president's agenda for 2021 is not achievable with the present cabinet. Some persons need to go. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, a call for change is not a bad call at all, especially. I think it even shows that some Nigerians are willing to have a better Nigeria. But you see, a call for change for the sake of calling for change is just experimentation. It may not take us too far. It may work, in which case you call it luck. But in some cases, in most cases, it may just not work. So what are we calling for this time? Are we calling for change because we want progress? Or we're calling for change or for change, you know? The man who decides if that change is necessary is the man who sits at the helm of affairs, the president. And he knows that this is the plan I had, this is the budget I had, and as at 2020, there was a 97.7% performance on the 2020 budget. That says something. That says something that it is also achievable. If you had a plan that worked, then it's possible that something is going to work too. What he looks at from where he sits would be deliverables. What have I asked you to do as FEC? What have you delivered? Did you deliver the roads? Did you deliver the rail? Which just continue. We have like 600 road projects going on in Nigeria. 44 of them Sukuk federal government road projects. We just have them keep going on. So what is he going to change in this area? Power is improving. Yes, I think that the person who is calling Senator Ndume actually has good intentions to ask for a change in the security apparatus. He's not talking really. I don't see how FEC comes into this.
No, he did say that. He said that some of the ministers do not key into the agenda or may not be able to deliver on the agenda of the president. And on the budget that you mentioned, the 97.7% that you mentioned, he's also said that the impact has not been felt at the local level.
It depends on how far he has gone as a senator, really. Has he gone around Nigeria? I've gone to a few places, and I think that I see effects. You ask yourself, have you seen anything at all? Is something moving? You see, what you want to change is a machinery that is stiff, that doesn't work at all, or that is counterproductive. It isn't something that is working. If you want to change something also, then you say, is it working? Is it moving at the pace that you planned? Or it's just not working at all? So would you say Nigeria is not working right now? But moreover, what I think, really...
Is Nigeria working?
It is working. Nigeria is working.
Some would say we're struggling. I mean, look at the economy.
Which country is not struggling right now? Anyone who wants to blame, any leader right now, after 2020, on anything at all, will not be blaming it. It's not going to be fair. Because there is no nation in the world that is smiling right now. None. So what do you want to blame the country on? I think we have to come to the point where we understand. And let me talk a little about our security. Most of the nations that have security going on well for them are the people and the leaders working together to ensure that their nation is safe. It is not the way we think about it in Nigeria. Most of us, not all of us, would think that, it's just the military, it's just the police, and then you throw everything on their table.
I think the issue of security is something we'll talk more about when we come back from this break. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sunday Politics. We're discussing the 2021 agenda of the president with the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Political Matters, Mr. Bode Olugbore. Mr. Bode, you had spoken so much about security just before that break. You talked about how countries were striving to make sure that their security apparatus work. But the president had said that in his 2021 New Year message that re-energizing and reorganizing the security apparatus and personnel of the armed forces and the police will be done this year. But some would wonder what are some of these adjustments that will be made, and if it would be possible to have these adjustments effectively without removing the security heads, as many have canvassed for.
I think that the matters of security are really very confidential. I mean, they should stay between the president and his service chiefs. When we begin to expose the plans, I'm not too sure we're doing well for the nation. So let's try to leave it at that. Today is just 10th. As we go on, hopefully the plans he has will unfold. As of last year, we were hearing, some stories about the call for the removal of these same service chiefs, which I won't say yes or a no to, but I'd rather say that, are there any plus to what they've done so far? I mean, one of the major things I think we do, or rather we are, to define us a bit in Nigeria is that we forget a lot. In fact, we just get over some stuff and that's it, we forget. It's been in this same nation a few years ago where you and I could not even go into our places of worship. We could not. Mosques were being exploded from here and there at Kano, Kaduna and places like that. We don't find stuff like that anymore. So would you say that the security apparatus isn't working at all, or that we're not meeting the needs of Nigerians or the requirements of Nigerians?
Would you say it's better or worse now?
I think it's better now, a little better. We're not where we're meant to be. No, let me agree with you. We're not there yet at all. But then the security problems we have in Nigeria, is it peculiar to Nigeria? Definitely not. All around the borders and the neighboring nations that we have in this country have about the same problem that we have right now, especially with Boko Haram. Now, you don't find Boko Haram in the nation anymore where they take over territories. You don't find that anymore. They come in, attack and then run over the borders and all of that. Yeah, something else should be done. I agree with that. But the other nations that we want to work with to get rid of this, they're facing the same problem. So would you say that we are not working? Of course.
Some have questioned the synergy among security agencies, and which is one of the reasons why many have said the security apparatus should be rejigged. And if you look at the cases that you have mentioned, you have also left out the rising cases of kidnapping and banditry, which many would say, compared to previous administrations, is worse.
Look, and I'm speaking personally now, I discovered that we as Nigerians, as citizens of Nigeria, need to know that we have constitutional roles to play in the development of a nation like Nigeria. We leave the running of our nation too much to the leadership, and it just doesn't work like that. If you take a look at, let's look at security apparatus in most developed countries. You find out that 80-85% of the work of security is done by the people, by the citizens. And then the military and all of that are left with just about 15, take a rest. There's a particular nation I know, why hide it? Canada. If you commit a crime in the morning, by night you must be arrested. And it is all because the people, someone somewhere will put a phone call through to the security apparatus to say, I noticed something different here. I see something that looks abnormal here. That's all. So what we're expecting, and sometimes we say, oh, the federal government should have more intel. The security people should have more intel. What's intel? It's the information you get from outside your own machinery. That's intel. So where is that coming from? Are we doing that as Nigerians? I think we've not really taken ownership of our nation enough to contribute our own quota to helping the nation. Then what other problem do we have? The security problems we have, really, they are quite a number. And you must have heard some disgruntled people, I would say, who will say, oh no, I lost some election, blah, blah. That's just one of those problems we had. And then putting some more funds into disrupting the peace of the nation. That's been mostly, what our problems
we're almost out of time now, but another issue that the president has chosen to tackle, which he's always tackled and chosen to tackle anyway, is the anti-corruption issue. And some would question if the anti-graft agencies can be trusted at this stage. I mean, the ICPC has been to an extent quiet, and the former head of the EFCC has been investigated for corruption. How is the president going to go about ensuring that the trust for these anti-graft agencies is restored?
I think that the answer to your question comes in from your question, really. If the head of EFCC could be put up for trial, that tells me something. It should tell you the same thing, that then we can trust that agency. If you look back at some governments, if you really want to move forward, we have to really look backwards sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, so we can tell where we're at. We've had a few governments before now who will never do such a thing. In fact, most of the people at those positions are the ones who are actually running the nation down at that time. So if the person who runs EFCC could be asked to come and give some accounts, and then he's not the only one. NDDC, you have things going on right now. You have things going on, which in the last few years, you in fact will not hear nothing about it. I don't want to mention it, but that's just been the case, So I think that if you rely on those steps that have been taken already, we should be able to say that, yes, let's trust the president, and let's see if we can go forward from here.
Mr. Olugbore, Senior Special Assistant to the President on Political Matters. Thank you for speaking with us on Sunday Politics. Well, that's the program today. Thank you so much for your time, and enjoy the rest of the day. I am Terry Kumi. Goodbye.